Hi people, welcome to Blue UK Jazz Dance Legacy of Leadership. I want to talk about being a dancer as a dancer who self-taught himself and a practitioner. On paper, I looked before I leapt into the industry of dance. To be a dancer, you have to have knowledge around dance, technical knowledge on dance, technical knowledge on performance skills. You have to have technical knowledge about working with people. You have to have knowledge on negotiation. You have to have knowledge on the commercial awareness of the industry. You have to have knowledge about getting injured, being involved in rehabilitation. You have to have knowledge on who's the best coaches, who's the best mentors, who's the best managers. Seek to find out who, what and when in this industry is one of the key things I did. And as an artist, I started as a storyteller and then became a dance preserver. Then I started to look into the industry of the dance industry to know what's involved. That one, it's highly competitive and you need to have the competitive edge. It's an art form requires you to have a collaborative edge as well as a people's edge. Working with people, you have to have a group edge or team edge in working with people. You have to learn to have knowledge, experience and skills in this area. It's important to have knowledge on dance and health because dancers are the most injured sportsmen or sports people, yeah? It's important to have knowledge in dance and theatre, the dance theatre industry. They're all different industries, so what happens is important to have knowledge on the industry and ways that you can develop oneself. Do you understand? One, you have the commercial world. It's a wholly different world. It's a very, very cutthroat industry. People need to understand. It's just in and out. And then what happens, the commercial industry is an industry that bastardizes the culture. The industry where you get to meet people, they're not necessarily your friends. So it's mainly, it would be sort of superficial relationships. You come in, you do a video, you're gone. That's it. You meet them for a while, you're gone. Where in the contemporary world, you'll have dancers that you may work with for many years. But that's changing now as well. Do you understand? People bring it now today, we're more in a superficial relationships because people bringing dancers in for a project, they do a tour, and they never see each other again. There's only a few companies. You have companies that have been together for many years. That's a different thing. You have to learn how to work alongside people. You have to keep yourself happy. You have to learn how to keep yourself hopeful, optimistic. You have to learn to deal with stress because dancers deal with a lot of stress. You have to learn to deal with the ability to adapt to any environment that you work in, different stages, different places, yeah, different times, conditions. You have to learn to have the ability to work in conditions at a higher level, at the highest level of performance. As an individual, you've got to make a decision about your career, where you're going to go, why you're doing what you're doing. From the beginning, I looked before I leapt because I had a mission statement, a core mission statement to direct my work. And that work, my focus was to be as diverse as possible and as versatile as possible. So that opened me up to learn more things than most people. So what happened, some of the opportunities I had, most dancers will never get again. It's important. So imagine I was in the first contemporary dance company in Manchester, it's a cooperative company. At the same time, I was a dancer, African dancer and drummer and arts administrator for a group. Then I was in another group, Afro-Cuban group. So I was involved. Same time, I go to work, working within a 30-mile radius within gestures, and I was able to go home. You get home, say at 6 o'clock, and then I'm in other groups and performing with them in different places. It's important for people to understand. Most dance company members would never be able to do that. I got that. Then you might be doing youth clubs. Then you're working in education, all levels. One of the things I got an opportunity to do with gestures. Most dancers never get that opportunity. So I'd worked in dance in education, dance in the community, dance tours. So we had a tour of our own work. Most dancers don't get the opportunities to choreograph their own work and tour it. So I've got opportunities to tour, work in education, work in the commercial industries, and work in the community. Most dancers don't get that, to work in youth clubs, different types of youth clubs. Working with different ages within education, on projects, one day or in one day you could be in 3 schools, you're working on different projects, and that's a huge thing now. they're understanding what a project is. And you had to be designing that project, developing that project as a choreographer. So in Gestures, we're working with young people. Each of us had to design, choreograph a piece for different groups. And you're working with different size groups. I've worked with groups from 150 kids to 1 child, to 2 child, 3 child. Do you understand? It's important that the type of experience I got, you'll never get again. Now, one of the key things, me being a UK jazz dancer, I was unknown. We was involved, we used to practice every day. So basically, the way I used to chill out was through social dancing. UK jazz dancing was something I did every day with my friends. I lived for it. So when I was in a dance company, I do everything I need to do, and then I rehearse, mess about in the evening, and then I've gone to the club at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, and go home at 2. People couldn't believe how I did that, and then be back in the studio. Because dance was a way I got to see my friends. Because many dancers will tell you, being in companies, they don't get to see, basically, they don't get to see their friends. That was unacceptable for me. So what happened, I looked before I leapt, before any company I joined. If I'm going to get access to be involved in my culture, I'm not going to be in that company. That's as simply as it is. And that was a key decision when I left Gestures at the end. What happened, I was in the company for 2 years and I got injured. I had a serious injury. I wanted to make a decision. The way I need to rehabilitate was not to be in an environment where I'm just watching. I need to do something else, which gave me a sense of confidence, a sense of excitement. So I worked in retail for River Island as a leading mixed suit salesman in the first ever and the biggest River Island as a biggest River Island shop in Manchester, which was selling commercial vintage clothes, which I loved, by the way, as an individual. That's why I worked with them. I was headhunted to work with them because I sold the clothes myself independently, yeah, as well as redesigned them. I was headhunted, and when I went for that job, it was ideal for me. I thought, this is what I want to work in at this time. When I've got an injury, I can work here. It gives me a sense of belonging, and what happened, and it gives me a new sense of direction in sense of my career. Because when you get injured, and a certain time you get injured, you have to think about the age you are, and you have to think about the future. So I looked for a leap in sense of being with Gestures. At some point I would have left it anyway, because it was mainly basically me working contemporary. I couldn't really do the works I fully wanted to do within Gestures, and that comes up as a dancer. So you have to look before you leap, and that was one of the key things I had. And it was easy to do that because I already had a mission statement from 1981. I joined Gestures in 1986. My mission statement was to promote the positive images and energy of my African and African culture, heritage, arts and its wider uses. And one of them things was me celebrating myself as a black dancer in a company with 3 blacks, 2 other blacks and 2 other white dancers. And me working with other white organizations was part of my celebrating my culture. Being a role model to other dancers, that it's possible to work in different organizations as a dancer. Don't limit yourself in what you do, because many people limited themselves, had a limitation, where I always look to broaden my horizons for what I want to do under a mindset called DSJ, pushing the boundaries of your learning, thinking and development. But not only pushing the boundaries of your thinking and development, looking at your boundaries of your own career development through your thinking about what you want to do, and that is looking before you leap. What do you want to do in the future? So therefore plan for it. Yeah, I'm saying put it into place. I wanted to be an individual who was a versatile dancer, who can stand up and say, look, I'm a dancer who's done contemporary, I've done ballet, I've done tap, I've done modern, I've done Caribbean, I've done experimental dance, I've done avant-garde dance. And that's like it should be an ABC to all dancers, white, black, or Chinese. If you want to be in this industry as sustainably as a dancer, which I wanted to be. Do you know what I'm saying? Particularly want to be a choreographer, because one of the things I want to be a choreographer learns all different dances, and that was one of the dreams I had. Do you understand? And to do that, to be a good choreographer, what happens is you need to know a wide range of knowledge. So that was one of the key things that I engaged in. I worked with people, worked with different cultures, did cultural exchange, dance cultural exchanges with organizations, so I could learn their dancing, they could learn my dancing. I got an experience of leading myself, leading others, and then eventually led organizations. So one of the key things that happened for me in sense of looking before I leapt, I wanted to be an ambassador of UK jazz dance around the world. Do you understand? With knowledge and awareness of other people's cultures, looking at what dance can do. Dance has a variety of things you can do. You can use dance for anything you want. So one of the things what I had was using dance in a wider way, and wanted to introduce people around the world. Don't limit yourself. Dance has limitless possibilities for its use. It can be used for a wide range of things, for fun, for care, to improve people's health, to explore issues in an unthreatening way. But it needs experts to do that, and I'd learned that expert knowledge. That's one of the key things I had. Now every dancer can explore an issue through the arts. Now every dancer can use dance in a wide range of ways in the way that I use it. Do you understand? It's important to people understand, for early learning, for child learning, for adolescence learning, for people that age, and for teachers. So I did a lot of insets is one of the key things I did within companies. That's one of the key things about my legacy of leadership. Look before leap. That's what I wanted to do, because I wanted to be an educator. Because what happens is when you do inset, you teach what you do with inset. You dignify your art form. You raise the prestige, because many teachers are teaching African dance or wider cultures dance from a point of ignorance, passing on the stereotypes. Do you understand? So education was very important to me, be it in youth club, be it in schools. But I involved myself at the highest level of insets, working with teachers, showing the practice how I teach. And how I teach is not the formal way of teaching, because UK jazz dance was never learned from a formal way of teaching. So I coach people or teachers. You must first and foremost make the child free-spirited. And you can use creative dance for that. You just get them to be free-spirited. So you get them to close their eyes, listen to music, interpret it in their own way. Take them through a series of exercise, because the art form is improvisational. What you do from there, you show them some steps, because that's what happens to the child. The child is taught to be free-spirited from the womb. When they come out, they're taught to be free-spirited because they see parents that are free-spirited. At the same time, they're watching the dance steps of the parents. So you've got, say, example, you had Cuban dance. The rumba, for example, is traditionally done by the Cubans. What happens is the child comes out, the child is free-spirited from the womb, the child is taught to be free-spirited. They see the parents dancing, and they see, oh, they're feeling free-spirited, and they copy, they start to mimic. They start to learn themselves. And then what happens is there will come a period where you say, this is how the dance is a little bit, and let them learn from that way. Do you understand? That is the way I learned UK jazz dance. And then what happened was, it was unique in the way that we learned UK jazz dance, because what happened, we went into a room with music only and interpreted the music and got the confidence to decide, I'm going to use this move, because it reflects my character and personality. So one of the key things with our dancing, our dance, UK jazz dance, it was supposed to reflect your character and personality. That was related to bebop and modern jazz. That's where the philosophy came. DS, dancing the spirit of jazz, drawing on the values, drawing on the way, the principles, the practices of how musicians trained, how literate people trained themselves, learned and developed themselves, and how dancers trained themselves. We brought that into our world. Do you know what I'm saying? You read widely, you looked at music, you looked at art, and developed your own art from that. That's what happened. BLUUKJAZZ, that's out.